Okay, guys, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Now, fasten your seatbelts. Here we go. Okay, guys, it's Saturday, October 26th, and it is 10:29 p.m. Eastern Time. You'll notice that we have a new intro. I hope you like it. I could have dressed up for the occasion, but I didn't. Let me know if you like it, hate it, or if you just don't care. If it's too loud, too soft, or just tacky. I don't know. Let me know in the comments below. Also, I do apologize. I'm going to turn this down a little bit because I think I'm a little bit loud. Is that better? Hopefully it is. Anyway, last night I did not record a video. I know probably a lot of you regular listeners already know that, but I had to take my mother out of town to the doctor, and by the time I got back, it was late and I was exhausted and didn't even upload an explanation. So please forgive me. But I'm back tonight. That's got to count for something. All right, let's go get into the news here. Now I got to find which one where I posted this. And I think, no, that's not the right one. That's not the right one either. All right, hang on. No. Hang with me now. We'll get there. There we go. Yeah. Took us a while, but we got there. All right. And first I want to thank my coffee donors. Donors. They're not donators. They're donors. Anyway, thank you to Heather from Houston. She's Triple H. She's Heather H from Houston. And she's my friend. And she donated to me via coffee. She's awesome. Anyway, also Anon, who I would assume wants to remain anonymous. So him or her, Anon, they also donated to coffee. So thank you so much. And also thank you to my Patreon subscribers and to those of you that snail mail me stuff, pray for the channel, donate via coffee, PayPal, what have you. Thank you so much. All right, now we are going to get into the news, and I'm about ready for it, and I'm sure you are as well. All right, now this from the Daily Mail, and I apologize, I'm going to get inundated with advertisements because this is one of those sites that you have to turn off your ad blocker to be able to view it. And I understand that they need to make money just like everyone else, but it is annoying to watch and to read and everything else. Hillary Clinton compares Donald Trump to the Bible's evil and corrupt King Ahab and Melania to Jezebel at Elijah Cummings' funeral as Barack Obama and Bill Clinton lead mourning for Democratic North Star. Yeah, imagine Hillary calling Melania Jezebel. Right. Project much, Hillary? And, King Ahab, that's like, who did he say was King Ahab? Oh, Donald Trump. Yeah, for a minute that didn't connect because in the Bible, King Ahab is a very, very weak, pathetic man who has to be led around by the nose by Jezebel. So does that sound like Trump? Doesn't sound anywhere near Trump. It sounds a little bit like Bill Clinton. Doesn't sound like Trump. And Melania, Jezebel was just about one of the most wicked women to live. I just don't see Melania being compared to Jezebel, but hey, what do I know? Anyway, let's go on with this. Clinton spoke at the funeral for the late lawmaker in Baltimore and compared him to the prophet Elijah from the Old Testament. Of course, Elijah had a long-going battle with Jezebel, who killed the prophets. So Elijah was afraid of Jezebel, and rightfully so. Nobody likes to be killed unless there's something really wrong with them. Anyway, so yeah, Elijah had this battle with Jezebel, and Jezebel would kill the prophets and threatened to kill Elijah. And Elijah was depressed and whatever. But Yeah. So Elijah warned against King Ahab, a corrupt leader of Israel, and Jezebel, who dressed herself in fine clothing and worshipped multiple gods. Now, who does that sound like? Hillary? She did not name Trump, but the message was clear, and she was applauded by a congregation which included Bill Clinton and Barack Obama, who also both offered eulogies. Republican lawmakers were at the service, but no official White House representative attended. Well, gee, I wonder why not. Cummings probed the Trump administration as House Oversight Chairman and was leading part of the impeachment inquiry this summer. Trump called his Baltimore district rat infested. He calls it like he sees it. What else would you call it when there's rats teeming out of the garbage? It's rat infested. But they said that was a racist, as if the rats only go to the black parts of a town, right? They follow little rat signs, I guess, that says to black section this way. Yeah, rats, they're racist, apparently. So Hillary Clinton used Elijah Cummings' funeral in Baltimore Friday to make a biblical dig at Donald Trump. The former Secretary of State said, like Cummings, who died this month at 68, the prophet stood against the corrupt leadership of King Ahab and Queen Jezebel. Wow. Like, I don't even know where to go with that, because it's like, I want to, I mean, both sides of it are so idiotic. Like the fact that they think Elijah Cummings is, standing against evil. Wasn't there like $4 billion missing or something like that? And his city doesn't appear to have received any help while he was in office anyway. The whole thing is just absolutely ludicrous. Her comments drew loud applause from a crowd gathered to honor the late Oversight Committee chairman in Baltimore, with two former presidents, Barack Obama and Bill Clinton, in attendance, but no White House official representative. Well, I doubt that Trump would have been welcome there. Do you? Yeah. So no surprise there. Ahab was a corrupt and evil king of Israel. Jezebel was his wife, a Phoenician princess who adorned herself in fine clothing and jewelry and worshipped the false god Baal, only to ultimately meet her doom. In the Old Testament, Elijah brought the kingdom of Israel back to the true path of God. And also, Baal is another. Moloch is actually the same god Baal. He goes by many different names in different cultures, but yeah, Moloch, the god that they would sacrifice their children to, much as we do today in America with abortion. So anyway, our Elijah could call down fire from heaven, but he also prayed and worked for healing, Clinton said. Yeah, right. Oh, this is funny. Like that Old Testament prophet, he stood against corrupt leadership of King Ahab and Queen Jezebel, he said. He weathered storms and earthquakes, but he never lost his faith, Clinton said. Faith in what? What did he have faith in? I don't know. And he looked out for the vulnerable among us. Yeah, right. And he kept reminding us, life is no dress rehearsal, she added. The American people want to live their lives without fear of their leaders, Clinton said. And as leaders, we have a responsibility to keep the promises made when running for office and to make the lives of Americans better, she said. Well, did she think the lives of Americans would be better by what she did regarding Benghazi? Did she think that it would make the lives of Americans better by trafficking children out of Haiti after an earthquake? Or, gathering all this money to give to the impoverished nation of Haiti to rebuild their homes? How many got built? What, 2, 3, maybe? Yeah, she's full of something. And there she is, everyone. Look at me, I'm in the spotlight again, and I like it. That's what she's thinking. I know it is. Sermon: Hillary Clinton used the funeral of Elijah Cummings to make a comparison between the Bible's evil Ahab and Jezebel and modern America. And when you call a man an Ahab, that is like the ultimate insult because it's really emasculating. And that's what Ahab was. He was really an emasculated male, if you catch my drift, because Jezebel was the real power. Kind of like the arrangement that Bill and Hillary had. Who was the real power there? Yeah, well, we all know that, right? So, yeah, she's projecting again. It's all she has left in her bitter old age. Not that she's that old, but still. All right, and mourned, Hillary Clinton was the first politician to offer a eulogy to Elijah Cummings at the New Psalmist Baptist Church in Baltimore. And Barack Obama also avoided Donald Trump's name in his eulogy of Cummings, saying that the Baltimore-born congressman shows there's nothing weak about being honorable. President's tributes, Barack Obama and Bill Clinton spoke in eulogy of Elijah Cummings at his funeral in the home city of Baltimore. We already know that. And I guess this is his wife. Widow Maya Rockeymoore Cummings paid tribute to her late husband. She is likely to run for his vacant seat. I don't understand that. Just because, okay, if my husband was an auto mechanic and he passed away, I wouldn't go down and apply for his job. Why? Because I don't know anything about auto mechanics. Just because he's got the skill doesn't mean I do. Or if my husband was a doctor at the hospital and they were short-staffed after he tragically passed away, I wouldn't go to the hospital and say, well, I'm here to take over for my husband. No, who does that? Nobody. All right. So anyway, and Ahab and Jezebel, Hillary Clinton's eulogy did not mention Donald and Melania Trump, but the implication was clear. And boy, in this picture of Melania, she doesn't look happy, and neither does he. But this wasn't taken at the funeral and has nothing to do with the funeral. They just stuck that picture in there, I guess, for good measure. All right, so there you go. Clinton said Cummings had little tolerance for those who put party above country or partisanship above truth. Maya Rockeymoore Cummings, widow of the longtime lawmaker and the Maryland State Democratic Party chair, oh, okay, so she's in politics too, acknowledged that President Trump's attacks on Baltimore hurt Cummings. Oh, he hurt my feelings. Ahab hurt my feelings. So, she said Cummings was fighting the very real corruption in the country and was working to save the soul of our democracy. The soul of our democracy. He was never complacent, for he knew that without clarity of purpose and a steadfast faith and a dogged determination demanded by our liberty, the promise of this nation could wither, Obama said. I wonder who wrote that speech for him, because he didn't. Complacency, he knew, was not only corrosive for our collective lives, but our individual lives. He pointed to Cummings' reputation for being kind to others, even as he wielded power in Washington. Obama, the father of 2 daughters, referencing hearing Cummings' daughters at the funeral, he said it got him choked up. I was thinking I'd want my daughters to know how much I love them, but I'd also want them to know that being a strong man also means being kind, and there's nothing weak about kindness and compassion. There's nothing weak about looking out for others. There's nothing weak about being honorable. You're not a sucker to have integrity and to treat others with respect, he said, earning applause. He may have earned applause, but he'll never earn those remarks because they most certainly don't apply to him, for sure. He said honorable was a title that many elected officials hold, but Elijah Cummings was honorable before he was elected to office. There's a difference, said Obama. Elijah Cummings came from good soil, Obama said, calling him a leader who once said he'd die for his people, even as he lived every minute for them. His life validates the things we tell ourselves about what's possible in this country. Not guaranteed, but possible. So, yeah, I'm not going to read all this. We'll just go right down to here. Bill Clinton pointed to the prophet Isaiah and referenced Cummings' call to service. Elijah Cummings spent a whole life saying, "Send me," an entire lifetime. And that is taken from the scripture where Elijah did, in fact, say, "Here am I, send me." All right. Well, that's enough of that because it's just covered with a whole lot of caca. All right, let's go back now because there's more to get to. There's always more. Now, Sun Q Zoo, I think that's how you pronounce it, Sun Q Zoo. Just a reminder, witches plan on casting spells on POTUS tonight. Yes, that is tonight. Pray the Lord God cancels out all the evil they conjure up against POTUS, and pray that Jesus will turn their evil into good and blessings for POTUS. Pray that the witches' eyes will be opened. And that in response to a article that we read. Actually, I read it the last time. It would have been the 24th. Yes. About the witches worldwide planning to cast a spell on Donald Trump. So just, Sun Q Zoo is just telling us, reminding us to pray, and so am I. We need to pray for the president. Always, really, we should be praying for those in leadership over us. It's not an easy job. It is most certainly not an easy job that he faces because he's dealing with wolves biting at his heels every minute of every day. So, yeah, this is all he needs, witches praying against him. And yes, there is power there, but greater is he that's in us than he that's in the world. And so we do have power over evil if we are believers. So if you remember, please pray. Okay, let's look at this now. I better pick up the pace here. All right. Breaking poll, 52% say impeachment is political stunt by Democrats. Now, 52% think that impeachment is just a political stunt. 59% say it's a waste of time. Now, when you add both of those together, it comes to more than 100, but who knows? Maybe they have a math impaired person that does their polling. I don't know. But anyway, yes, 52% say impeachment is political stunt and 59% say it's a waste of time. All right. Trump pollster John McLaughlin released a poll on Thursday on the latest coup attempt to remove President Trump from office. And John McLaughlin here says 52% majority says impeachment is political to stop Donald Trump re-election. Only 36% think it's legal. 52% majority say impeachment is political to stop Trump re-election. Only 36% legal. 47% to 33% say POTUS shouldn't cooperate. This does not even make sense. I don't know how. I have never seen a poll like that. So let's look at this here. So political reasons, 52% think it's for, it's just political reasons. 36% think that there are legal reasons, and 12% don't know. So there you go. I mean, I think we are all pretty convinced that, it's for political reason. I don't think any of us would argue with that. It's purely political. It's just that they don't like him. He hasn't done anything wrong. They don't want him to be president. They don't want him to be reelected, and they don't like him. So that is basically, well, it's not just that they don't like him. It's the fact that they scare whatever can be scared in them out, because they know that they have committed crimes, and they know that he is going to find them and is in the process of finding them. So it's kind of do or die, get Trump before he gets them. That's basically it in a nutshell. Okay, now let's look at this. And this should tell us something. George Soros, Elizabeth Warren is most qualified to be president. Okay, so you know what that should tell us? Do you know what that should tell us right there? That she's the least qualified. Right, because anybody that George Soros approves of, I doubt that the majority of Americans would approve of, right? He's never done the right thing for Americans, not ever. He doesn't care about Americans. He cares about a global new world order. That's what he cares about. So Elizabeth Warren is his woman. According to him, she's the most qualified to be president. Progressive billionaire George Soros declared in a newly released interview that 2020 White House contender Senator Elizabeth Warren is the most qualified to be president. I think she is the most qualified to be white. That after her taking a DNA test. So I think she is probably the most qualified woman in America to be white. I'm just saying. The 89-year-old mega Democrat donor stopped short of endorsing Warren, stating his remarks should not be received as such. Well, I think he's smart enough to know that if he makes those comments, that it is an endorsement. He can say it's not, but that's exactly what it is. I think he thinks we're all stupid. I'm not endorsing anybody because I want to work with whoever, he stated. I don't express my views generally because I have to live with whoever the electorate chooses. As CNBC notes, Soros' comments come as investors remain divided on Warren, who has proposed a series of tax hikes. Hang on until I get rid of that. It's irritating me. Okay, as notes that investors remain divided on Warren, who has proposed a series of tax hikes and frequently criticizes Wall Street. I'm fighting for an economy and a government that works for all of us, not just the wealthy and well-connected. I'm not afraid of anonymous quotes and wealthy donors. Don't get to buy this process. I won't back down from fighting for the big structural change we need, the Massachusetts senator wrote in a recent tweet. In late June, Soros joined Facebook co-founder Chris Hughes, philanthropist Agnes Gund, and 15 others in signing a letter endorsing Democrat presidential contenders to create a wealth tax on them, a move supported by Warren as well as South Bend Mayor Pete Buttigieg and former Representative Robert Francis Beto O'Rourke. America has a moral, ethic, and economic responsibility to tax our wealth more, the letter obtained by the Times read. A wealth tax could help address the climate crisis, improve the economy, improve health outcomes, fairly create opportunity, and strengthen our democratic freedoms. Warren has seen her campaign climb to second place in recent weeks, putting her in striking distance of frontrunner former Vice President Joe Biden, according to the national polls. I'm sorry, but she's within striking distance of Joe Biden. Okay, do you think that makes her likely to win? No, because, I think Joe Biden's numbers are probably close to zero. So what must Warren's numbers be? I mean, really, just ignore all of the polls and everything that they're throwing out there, making it seem like Biden really has a chance against Donald Trump. I mean, that is so laughable, really. People would have an easier time believing that the moon is filled with Philadelphia cream cheese. I'm just saying. All right. America, so hang on. Now, where did I go? America has a moral, ethical, and economic responsibility to tax our wealth more. All right. Oh, okay. I already finished. I don't know where I am tonight, but obviously I'm not here. I was just going to keep reading there, but I had already finished. I don't know what that is. Drain brain. I think that's what it is. But no excuses. All right. I hear Acme can't be gone. I hear a cat scratching at my chair. And I don't like that. All right, let's go on now. This is good news for us animal lovers. Very good news for us animal lovers, because I remember seeing a video that I wish I had not seen of a person carrying in skinned dogs. Oh, hang on. The cat is trying to chew cords now. So Acme Cat Be Gone, it works every time. All right, so I remember seeing this video and they were carrying in these skinned dogs. Really, they were preparing to cook them. And this was somewhere in New York City. And, you know, there was somebody trying to, and, you know, stop and saying, what are you doing? That's a dog. And, you know, I remember looking up at that time if it was illegal, and it wasn't. It was not illegal. So I went, oh my gosh, I had no idea. First of all, I wouldn't ever think that anybody would want to do that in America, seeing as how, especially dogs, because, you know, I think, well, cats as well, but dogs especially, because they are, you know, you think of dogs, America, baseball, and apple pie, right? Everybody loves dogs. I don't know of anybody that doesn't. And so I don't know why you would want to kill them. But anyway, President Trump has now signed the farm bill making dog and cat meat illegal in the United States. Now, a lot of you, oh, I hear scratching again. Hey, you know, I should really pause this and go and disrupt this catastrophe, but I'm not going to. I'm going to go on with the show. So anyway, Washington on Thursday, in a groundbreaking victory for animals in the United States and across the world, the Dog and Cat Meat Prohibition Act was signed into law by President Trump as a provision of the Farm Bill. The bill was spearheaded and sponsored by the Animal Hope and Wellness Foundation, a nonprofit that rescues dogs and cats from the dog and cat meat trade abroad. The act makes it a federal offense to slaughter, trade, and import-export dogs and cats for human consumption, a practice that was previously legal in 44 states. While the practice is uncommon in America, a number of recent cases were involved in Hawaii, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, and New York. Many of these dogs and cats were taken from shelter, some found as strays, others were stolen pets from families. While the ban on dog and cat meat consumption only applies to the practices within the United States, it will also serve to strengthen the position of activists fighting against the dog and cat meat trade around the world. And yes, there is such a thing. The Dog and Cat Meat Trade Prohibition Act was first introduced in March 2017 by Congressman Alcee Hastings. The AHWF has lobbied for the Dog and Cat Meat Prohibition Act, knowing that the United States cannot condemn the practice around the world if it is still legally permissible within its own borders. This is a major victory for the animals, prohibiting the consumption of two entire species, while at the same time making America the leader in putting an end to this brutal practice worldwide. When we started this, I'm telling you, all the editors are dead. When we started this, all we ever wanted to do was make a difference, to move toward bringing an end to the suffering of these animals who are like our children, our family, and they really are. I can't even imagine. I think that would be the worst nightmare, to have that happen to one of your pets. It's horrendous, because we do tend to treat our pets as one of the family. And for me, I don't have any children, and so I treat my cats like my kids. So there you go. Anyway, let's go on now. I hate the sound of my furniture being scratched. I think I am going to have to get Xander declawed. They have a thing where they can do it with a laser now at the vet that I go to. So it is not as painful, and it's much more precise. I know it's still painful to the cat, but it's either the cat or the claws. So there you go. Okay, so I think that Xander got into some coffee or something. I don't know what he got into, but he is just bouncing off the walls tonight. All right, now let's look at this. This from Donald Trump. General Michael Flynn's attorney is demanding that charges be immediately dropped after they found that FBI agents manipulated records against him. They say that James Clapper told a reporter to take a kill shot at Flynn. This has been a complete setup of Michael Flynn. They exonerated him. This is just going on with Donald Trump's tweets. Excuse me. Excuse me for one moment. It really is like you're just in my living room talking to me, isn't it? You don't get this on every channel. So many people say, it feels like you're just in my living room talking to me. I am. Okay. They exonerated him completely of being an agent of Russia recently. Crooked Hillary charged Tulsi Gabbard and Jill Stein with the same thing. Sick. And yet, Mr. Comey still runs to the White House on February 14th and conjures up the obstruction of justice narrative against the president when Flynn has been cleared of everything long before that. The DOJ is withholding a lot of evidence and information, as are Clapper and Brennan and all of the people who participated in the complete setup of Michael Flynn. Terrible. Sidney Powell, this is a disgrace. And it is a disgrace. And it says, thank you, Fox and friends. Hopefully this is just the beginning of a massive story of injustice and treason. You will never learn this from the corrupt lamestream media who get Pulitzer Prizes for reporting the story totally wrong. The ones who report it right get only respect. So there you go. Now, this, I'm sure you have all been following. I did mention it in a earlier broadcast. But apparently, and this is good news, says update, Texas Attorney General calls for child abuse investigation into mother of a transitioning son. He is 7 years old. He lives with his mother. He is a twin. So there's two of them, two boys, identical twins, I believe. And she has custody, but she had always wanted a girl. And he has been caught on tape saying that mommy makes me wear dresses, puts bows in his hair, paints his nails, so forth. And, you know, I guess the question or the concern is, well, number one, I think for me, the concern would be he's 7 years old. He's 7 years old. Like, this is not something that you decide at 7 years old. You're not even... You haven't experienced anything of life yet. So to medically alter him at 7 years old is criminal. However, the other concern would be the mother wanted a girl, and is she forcing this boy into this? The father says yes, because when he has the boy, he is a regular little boy wanting to do little boy things. But when he's with the mother, he's in a dress and doing girl things. And so there is some concern. And I heard a few people mention, and I'm not accusing this woman of this because I don't know her and I don't know the situation, but I've heard of Munchausen by proxy. And that is where the mother will project something onto the child because it gives her attention. So, and people are thinking that this could be a case of that. So I am so glad that this is going to be looked into. On Monday of this week, a Texas jury ruled that a father of a 7-year-old boy could not stop the boy's mother from transitioning their son into a girl. The mother insists the boy is really a girl because he likes the princess in the Disney movie Frozen. The jury ruled that the father, Jeffrey Younger, could not interfere with the mother's decision to give their son hormones and puberty blockers in an effort to chemically castrate the boy or prevent his own son from undergoing gender-changing surgeries. The father claims the ex-wife has been forcing the transition ever since their divorce and has accused her of starting to manipulate the child when James was just 3 years old. He has accused her of locking James in the bedroom and telling their child that monsters only eat boys. He also claims that she has been forcing the child to wear dresses. Then, on Thursday, the inhumane jury decision was overruled by a Texas judge with a heart who said the boy's father has a say in what medical procedures his own son undergoes. Sorry, I'm just making sure that there's no wires being chewed. I have to do that from time to time. Yeah, and obviously you would hope that a man would have some say over his own son, his own DNA, what happens to him. So this is good news, I think, for everybody involved, except possibly the mother. Let me see here. The father claims his ex-wife have been forcing the transition ever since their divorce. So he locked her in the bedroom, said monsters only eat boys, forcing him to wear dresses. Then on Thursday, the inhumane jury was overruled by a Texas judge with a heart who said the boy's father has a say in what medical procedures his own son undergoes. Knowing that evil flourishes if good men do nothing, the Texas Attorney General's office is now calling for an investigation of the boy's mother for the obvious child abuse of her son. Jeffrey Mader, First Assistant Attorney General, wrote a letter to the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services imploring the department to open an investigation and use its emergency powers to protect the boy from permanent and potentially irreversible harm by his mother. I'm telling you, that cat, it's like, I don't even want to say it. I was going to say it, and then I'm not going to. I was going to say it's like he has a demon, but he doesn't. All right. On Monday, hang on here. See, I lose my place because of that cat. All right. On Monday, a Dallas jury ruled against a father who was trying to stop his ex-wife from forcing their 7-year-old son to transition to a girl. According to public reports, the mother has already begun transitioning the boy by calling him a girl's name and dressing him in girl's clothes. She also reportedly intends to administer puberty blockers soon, which can cause chemical castration. When the boy is with the father, he acts and dresses like a boy. The public reports and sworn testimonies indicate that the child's physical and mental health and welfare have been and will continue to be adversely affected. Indeed, court testimony from last year indicates that the department was already aware of this matter but has yet to take action. As a reminder, Texas law defines child abuse to include mental or emotional injury to a child that results in an observable and material impairment in the child's growth, development, or psychological functioning, causing or permitting the child to be in a situation in which the child sustains a mental or emotional injury, or failure to make a reasonable effort to prevent an action by another person that results in physical injury that results in substantial harm to the child. The letter says, regardless of the pending custody dispute between the parents, the department has a duty to conduct a thorough investigation. The children at the center of the dispute are in immediate and irrevocable danger. I would agree with that. Thank God for the Texas Attorney General's office, and good thing this didn't happen in California. Whoo, you can say that again. Really. I'm so thankful that something is going to be done about this. I'm so thankful. And I just have to trust that they will all do what is in the best interest of the child in terms of custody and what have you. All right. Yeah, this is a little weird too. Let's look at this. Not going to belabor this much because I'd like to get through everything that I have before. Breaking fired FBI Andrew McCabe suddenly drops wrongful termination case against DOJ. Now, this is from yesterday. Fired Deputy Director of the FBI, Andrew McCabe, suddenly dropped his wrongful termination case on Friday. Andrew McCabe was fired back in March 2018. This comes after it was announced Thursday that Attorney General Bill Barr announced the John Durham probe is now a criminal investigation. I don't know. So this by Joe Citizen. Andrew McCabe dropped his wrongful termination lawsuit against the FBI. And it says stipulation of dismissal. As to the FBI, the parties hereby stipulate the dismissal of this action without prejudice under Federal Rule of Civil Procedure 41A 1A 2 as the U.S. Department of Justice Office of Inspector General. The parties hereby stipulate to dismissal of this action with prejudice under Federal Rule of Civil Procedure 41A 1A 2. Each side will bear its own fees and costs. So, yeah, it was dropped, obviously initiated by Andrew McCabe because he's going, ooh, snikes, I'm in trouble now. They've turned this into a criminal investigation. I better drop that lawsuit. You know, that's what he said. Well, maybe not those words, but all right. And here, Michael Anthony Mayers Sr. says Andrew McCabe has dropped his lawsuits against the DOJ. Per Jason in the House on Sean Hannity, crap is getting real. Yeah, it's getting real, all right. Okay, well, I thought that would, please some of you. I don't know. Won't displease you, I don't think. Okay, and let's go here. No, really, let's. From the Federalist, we've got the following. All the Russia collusion clues are beginning to point back to John Brennan. Well. The evidence suggests John Brennan's CIA and the intelligence community did much more than merely pass on details to the FBI. It suggests they fabricated events completely. I just saw this pop up too. Ford's ex-boyfriend told the Senate he saw her do polygraph coaching. All right, well, we're not on that now. Last weekend, NBC News reported that the Justice Department's probe into the origins of the Russian collusion investigation is now focusing on the CIA and the intelligence community. NBC News soft-pedaled this significant development by giving former CIA Director John Brennan a platform, a pen, to call the probe bizarre and question the legal basis for the investigation. Politico soon joined the spin effort, branding the investigation, Attorney General William Barr assigned to Connecticut U.S. Attorney John Durham, Trump's vengeance. However, if the media reports are true, hang on here, I wish that would stop popping up. I hate pop-ups. I'm just in a bad mood, aren't I? I don't know. However, if the media reports are true and Barr and Durham have turned their focus to Brennan and the intelligence community, it is not a matter of vengeance. It is a matter of connecting the dots in congressional testimony and reports, leaks, and media spin, and facts exposed during the 3 years of panting about supposed Russian collusion. And it all started with Brennan. That's not how the story went, of course. The company story ran that the FBI launched its Crossfire hurricane surveillance of the Trump campaign on July 31st, 2016, after learning that a young Trump advisor, George Papadopoulos, that's right, I said Papadopoulos, had bragged to an Australian diplomat, Alexander Downer, that the Russians had dirt on Hillary Clinton. This tip from Downer, when coupled with WikiLeaks' release of the hacked Democratic National Committee emails and evidence of Russian efforts to influence the 2016 presidential election, supposedly triggered the FBI's decision to target the Trump campaign. The real story is different. But as the special counsel Robert Mueller report made clear, it wasn't merely Papadopoulos. That's right, Papadopoulos' barroom boast at issue. It was a series of contacts between Trump campaign officials and individuals with ties to the Russian government that the DOJ and FBI and later the special counsel's office investigated, and who put the FBI on to these supposedly suspicious contacts? Former CIA Director John Brennan, the guy that never smiles. He always looks constipated. I don't know. You should send him a good laxative. Really. I encountered and am aware of information and intelligence that revealed contacts and interactions between Russian officials and U.S. persons involved in the Trump campaign that I was concerned about, Brennan told the House Intelligence Committee back in 2017. Whether or not there was collusion with Russia, Brennan didn't profess to know, but he passed on the information to the FBI to reach a conclusion. Sure he did. It's not CIA's job to make a determination about whether a U.S. person is cooperating, colluding, or whatever in some type of criminal or legal matter, Brennan explained, stressing that instead it is our responsibility to give the Bureau everything they need in order to follow that path and make such a determination and recommendation if they want to press charges. The evidence suggests, however, that Brennan's CIA and the intelligence community did much more than merely pass on details about contacts and interactions between Russian officials and U.S. persons involved in the Trump campaign to the FBI. The evidence suggests that the CIA and intelligence community, including potentially the intelligence communities of the UK, Italy, and Australia, created the contacts and interactions that they then reported to the FBI as suspicious. Yeah, that's the real story. And then, of course, they created the whole Russian collusion, and we know about all that. And let's get down to the nitty-gritty of it. So, says, and what about the infamous Trump Tower meeting? Had that been arranged to create yet another connection between the Trump campaign and Russians? These are the questions Barr and Durham should be asking themselves to arrive at the bottom line. Were the Russian connections contrived by the CIA? And was Brennan the plotter-in-chief, hoping to prevent a President Trump or to destroy him later? Well, I think we both know the answer to that. We know exactly what happened, and Brennan was waist deep in this crap. Possibly even more than waist deep. Anyway, let's go on. No, really, let's. Okay. And then we've got, oh my gosh. Then we've got John Kerry. And he is looking worse for the wear, I must say. And I don't know, he just looks a little different to me. In an interview with CNN, Christine Amanpour, that aired Friday, former Secretary of State John Kerry said that the evidence against President Donald Trump in the House impeachment inquiry was more powerful than was there in former President Richard Nixon's impeachment. First day with the new eyes, I guess. I don't know. Kerry said the evidence is powerful, some of it more powerful already than what we saw in the impeachment of Richard Nixon. Right, John Kerry. And we can believe you because you're totally above board in everything. You've got your fingers all up in that dirty little pie. Yes, you do. So, yeah, I think we can just kind of toss that out. He continued, the evidence at this point in time certainly merits the inquiry that is taking place. Oh, well, if John Kerry says so, then, I guess it must be. He added, it would be far better for democracy in the whole world if the world could see a Congress in which everybody was respecting the legitimacy of this process and let the facts tell the story. Oh, he makes me want to vomit. I'm sorry. I don't know. I've got a little bit of spunk in me tonight, I guess. It does make me want to vomit. Gosh darn it, though. All right. Let's go back here. And why did Trump cancel the Washington Post and the New York Times subscriptions? Well, we probably know a lot of reasons, but let's look at some others. This from Victory of the Light. Here's why Donald Trump is forcing all federal agencies to terminate agency-funded subscriptions to New York Times and Washington Post. The New York Times is owned by Carlos Slim, a Mexican national and multi-billionaire who has long been known to be involved with Sinaloa cartel. And, you know, Carlos Slim has come up several times in all of the Q stuff that we've looked at. So yeah, we should be familiar with that name. And Washington Post is owned by Jeff Bezos, who purchased it for nearly the same value as the contract won by Oz Cloud to build out the CIA's private cloud computing network. So in essence, New York Times is owned by a cartel financier and Washington Post is owned by a CIA lackey. Yeah. So isn't that interesting? I guess that means Amazon, is that, I don't know, Amazon Web Services. Okay, Amazon Web Services. So Washington Post is owned by Jeff Bezos, who purchased it for nearly the same value as the contract by Amazon Web Services Cloud to build out the CIA's private cloud computing network. So yeah, New York Times owned by the cartel, and the Washington Post is owned by a CIA lackey who is probably not under, he's probably under deep state control, I would imagine. It's no coincidence that yesterday at FBI Records Vault dropped a 300-plus page report from 1993 regarding a group known as the Finders. That's another big thing in the news that you're going to be seeing a lot of. Dig through comments on my pinned tweet and you'll see two pieces of information researchers pulled via OSINT analysis. Report concluded that the Finders were aided and abetted by a rogue CIA. Essentially, the Finders abducted children to be forced into MK Ultra Project Monarch. Report further concluded open U.S.-Mexican border protected by cartels on the Mexican side was a huge asset for the Finders. Yeah. Now you know why they didn't want that shut down. And why you really think that they care about immigrants? Well, you know, it's not just that, but it's also the fact that those immigrants vote for them. But yeah, it shuts down their money networks too. So the Pentagon awards a JEDI contract to Microsoft instead of Amazon, thus preventing Jeff Bezos from going on another media shopping spree with his windfall in the same way he did when he bought Washington Post with his windfall from Amazon Web Services, winning the CIA cloud contract. We are going after these MFers hard right now. His or her word, not mine. This is a full-on offensive against the deep state, and it involves POTUS, Pentagon, NSA, and a newly cleaned FBI against what remains of deep state in USIC, Microsoft plus Oracle going after Amazon Web Services for POTUS faction. Interesting. This is all out, full-on warfare right now. You wanted action? Here you go. It took time, it took planning, it took patience, but when you only get one shot, you damn well better not miss. This is only the beginning. Stay tuned. So, yeah, that's interesting as well. And I do want to bring you more on the Finders as it becomes available. So that's something I'm going to be looking into. And this is the last item for this evening. And it is a little disturbing. I'm just going to say that right up front, okay? Any of these things are disturbing as far as I'm concerned, very disturbing. But when religion is involved, it's extra disturbing. Horrifying report details sexual abuse of at least 166 children as young as 5 by 43 priests in Colorado. Colorado, where have we heard that recently? Oh, building a wall in Colorado, and everybody made fun of Trump. Right. Maybe this is what he was referring to in part. I don't know. But anyway. So 166 children as young as 5 by 43 priests in Colorado over the past 70 years, with one boy branded evil before being subjected to ritualistic acts and another told this is what God wants. That is why I find it disturbing, because you destroy that person's spirituality forever. You literally are raping their soul. New report details 166 cases of sexual abuse at the hands of priests in Colorado. As many as 43 Roman Catholic priests abused children since 1950. The Archdiocese of Denver was accused of fostering a culture of secrecy that placed the reputations of clergy and church leaders over the welfare of children. Well, what's new with that? What's new with that? They've been doing that for years and years and years. The Catholic Church. Anyway, I'm not sure about other churches. I pray not, but one never knows. Father Harold White was named most prolific known clergy abuser in Colorado. He allegedly abused at least 63 children over 21 years before he died in 2006. Denver Archbishop Samuel Aquila apologized to victims after a report published. Yeah, after the report published. It's a little late then, because at that point, you're just apologizing because you got caught, not because you're sorry. At least 166 children were sexually assaulted at the hands of Roman Catholic priests in Colorado over the past 70 years, a new report has revealed, with shocking details of decades of abuse. As many as 43 clergy allegedly committed the abuse, and a culture of secrecy was fostered among the archdiocese, in which reputations of offenders were placed over the welfare of children. The figures disclosed in an investigative report far exceeded the scope of the scandal previously documented in the state. One of the priests named in the report, Father Harold Robert White, abused at least 63 children over 21 years and was described as the most prolific known clergy child sex abuser in Colorado history. The youngest victim was a 5-year-old girl who was raped by a priest visiting her school in Pueblo, Colorado, who told her he would be committing a mortal sin that she would be committing a mortal sin if she reported the attack. At least two alleged victims were driven to kill themselves by the years of abuse they endured at the hands of the priests, and detailed their sufferings in suicide notes discovered after their deaths. The report also notes that credible allegations from the 1960s and 70s continued to flow into the church from victims of historic abuse. Denver Archbishop Samuel Aquila apologized to the victims in a video message posted online after the report was published. And I'll tell you, this guy gives me the heebie-jeebies because, and I'm not going to play it because he just does. And yeah, look at him. He just, the eyes, like you can tell that there's something wrong with this man, morally. Anyway, and again, he's apologizing now, not because he's sorry, but because he's caught. One of the priests, okay, we already looked at that, and says the scathing 263-page report presented by former U.S. Attorney Robert Troyer found that over 160 children were abused by 43 priests over 70 years. There was a culture of secrecy. One of the priests, named Harold White, abused 63 children over 21 years. One boy was subjected to ritualistic acts, while another victim killed himself when he was an adult as a result of his ordeal as a child. Colorado churches used euphemisms to mask reports of child abuse, referring to the anal rape of a boy of 12 as a boundary violation. Yeah, I should say so. This dynamic in the Colorado diocese was a severe impediment to the protection of children, and it is one they are not done addressing, the independent report said. Sabbaticals, hospitals, or military chaplaincies and other transfers for vague conditions referred to as tensions were frequently used as a cover for dioceses to move a priest where allegations of sexual abuse were first made. When allegations were first made, the report said. The damning report detailed how the church operated a long history of silence, self-protection, and secrecy. It revealed how euphemisms such as boy troubles or a youngster suffering from a nervousness were deployed to shroud reports of clergy sex abuse. One example described the anal rape of a 12-year-old boy as merely a boundary violation, the report stated. A transfer was obtained for around 12 abusers on the basis of family reasons. Church personnel in Colorado generally stopped using these terms 15 to 20 years ago, investigators found. Father White, who died in 2006 at the age of 73, served in 6 parishes from 1960 until he was removed from the ministry in 1993. The report found he groomed victims by buying them alcohol and taking them on trips where he forcibly fondled children, forced one girl to violate herself with a ruler, and engaged children in masturbation. In relation to the allegations against White, the report states when he had sexually abused enough children at a parish that scandal threatened to erupt, the Denver Archdiocese moved him to a new one geographically distant enough that White was not known there. White was never placed on restricted ministry or sent for psychiatric evaluation, and he never underwent an investigation, the report says. One victim was called a liar and ostracized in his school after reporting abuse to archdiocese authorities, while others were told to conceal White's problem, the report stated. During the 1960s, Father John Benno allegedly abused at least 2 girls, the first being 5 years old at the time. A report was made in 1995, and the diocese received the second allegation in 2005, several years after Benno had died. Financial statement was reached between the Pueblo Diocese and the first victim. Most of the abuse took place decades ago, although one case found to be arguably still viable for prosecution has been referred to authorities for further criminal investigation, the review said. The alleged offender was not identified. Father Robert Bannigan allegedly groomed and sexually abused an altar boy age 6 in 1961. He told him this is what God wants and that the devil would get him if he didn't cooperate, according to the report. The case was recently reported to the Colorado Attorney General's office and the Denver Archdiocese, but it is not known if the abuse was being investigated by the Archdiocese. Also named in the report was Father Thomas Berry, who allegedly sexually abused a 16-year-old girl in the early 1970s. The case was first reported to Denver Archdiocese in 1973 when the victim's mother wrote to the Denver Archdiocese stating her daughter was living with Berry off and on and that the priest was having an affair with her daughter. But it appears the Denver Archbishop either failed to document or ignored victim number 1's alleged allegation of sexual abuse when it was brought to his attention in 1973, the report author wrote. Berry's facilities or faculties or ministry or access to children was not restricted, and the Denver Archdiocese did not report the abuse to police. The abuse took place long before Colorado law mandated abuse of minors had to be reported to police in 2002. Now, this goes on and on and on and on and on. So I'm going to leave the link for you. And if you want to look into this further, please do so. Or if you happen to know anybody that this may apply to, I pray not, but you could send it along. Anyway, that is it for tonight. I will leave this. Well, actually, I do post all the broadcast notes to Patreon, so you will be able to view them there. Now, someone has told me that, and actually, I did check, and they're right. They said, "Well, you said that anybody can view these because you wanted everybody to have access," and I do. But apparently, with Patreon, you do have to be a Patreon member to be able to get anything that I post there. So I don't know what to do about that. Someone had contacted me and said that they were willing to mirror them on their website. And when I have that, I will give that to you. But in the meantime, even if you are a Patreon supporter for like $1 a month, it will let you have access to that. I don't know if you can do less than $1, but if you can, feel free to. It's not that I'm trying to wheedle money out of you at all. I do want everybody to be, to have these available to them. But unfortunately, like, it is unlocked, but even with it unlocked, if you're not a Patreon subscriber, you cannot see the notes. So I'm going to have to think up something else there because I most certainly don't want anybody restricted from any information because of money or whatever. You know, I want everything to be accessible. All right, so that's it for tonight. Thank you guys so much for listening. I appreciate it. And sorry that I didn't dress up more for the occasion, but it's been one of those days. So, all right. Well, you take care, sleep well, stay safe, and come back tomorrow. I'll be here. I'll be, seeking truth with you. Good night.